Round two. Thanks, man.
These curl dying. Oh my God, who let these ring girls in? Who let these girls be ring girls? Like, okay, aggressive. Yeah, he tied. He's still tied. Nah, and he ain't got no balance no more. He off balance. He out of breath. He ate that. He ate that. Yeah, you ate that, fam. He ain't got no power behind it. No stamina.
Set it up.
Come on. Yeah, right there. He keep putting his head down, bro. That's pissing me off. What's going on, King? Come on, fam.
Slip and counter. 45 seconds.
This nigga do-rag slide. This nigga do-rag sliding.
40 seconds.
Yeah, this nigga's tired, bro. He throwing all his shit away. What up, Edit? What's going on, twin? What's going on? What you watching? I'm watching this video. Last to get knocked out featuring Aaron the plumber. It's basically like they fighting. They like boxing and they like basically boxing for $1,000 basically. But there's so many hood niggas in this video and they smoke. So them niggas running out of breath and quitting. What the fuck? It was like 2 people that quit because they was out of breath. Yeah, this nigga tired. He can't even breathe. Come on, hit that body, twin. Hit that body. Yeah, he out, man. That nigga ain't. He's out of it, twin. He can't go another round. Throw me in that bit. Damn, I'm talking about.
Y'all better lay off the weed, man.
Like if you actually like watch the body language and like know what you're doing, fam, you could beat anybody. If you analyze the situation correctly, you could beat anybody. In my opinion. It's just it depends on if you want that. If you know, it depends on how much you want it.
Are y'all ready?
Them Everlast gloves look garbage though, I'm not gonna lie.
This one that counts. I'm not starting the clock to the first punch and throw. I'm not starting the clock to the first punch and throw. Alright, get busy. Start it now.
You're so handsome, appreciate it, Shop. Hold on. They both tied now. This is where the real fight happened. Come on. Bro, you gotta stop baiting him, fam. What's good, everybody? What's up, Jennifer? What's going on? I love cats. How y'all doing? If y'all if you're new, sub up right now, twin. I'll be making music. We be chilling, vibing. I'm gonna be on Bruce Lee Top Tommy. You gonna get your leg caught and punched in your shit, twin. Don't do that. In the outside of the ring, do not try to kick a nigga. I'm gonna be, unless you kicking him in his leg, do not bring your leg all the way up here if you not a professional. If you not a professional and you bring your leg all the way up there, if a nigga weave that bitch, or if a nigga catch that bitch, you're grits. Like, grits. I ain't gonna lie. Let me tell y'all this story back. Alright, so boom. Story time. Random ass story time, right? This was when I was in elementary school. I believe 4th, 5th grade, right? Probably even 3rd. I don't even know, fam. I was such a hot head back then. Boom. Elementary school, right? So, wait. Can people read people's brains? I don't know what you... But boom. Elementary school, right? My sisters, they basically, these girls, like, you know how females are. These girls, they arguing back and forth. There's 2 niggas that's with the females. They instigating it and shit. So when we walk into the crib, mind you, I'm with them. But we walk into the crib. So tell me why they come into the gate. And then they get on the porch. Right? They get on the porch. And they start rapping and shit. I think we was like, yo, get on my porch, this, that, and the third. Then the dude, they said, put his shirt on. Fam, I ain't gonna lie. It's hot in this bitch, twin. I'm gonna keep it all the way 100, twin. It's hot as fuck. Anyways, so the jit said something to my sister, and I was like, what? I was like, say that shit again or some shit like that. And he did, and I think we just started fighting. So it's mind you, it's two brothers. One is gay and the other one straight. So I'm beating a straight brother ass against the gate. His brother hitting me in the back of my head whole time, right? Bro, tell me why. I turn around, I'm minking this nigga too. Me and my sisters are like, we choreography type shit. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. Boom. So we fighting and shit. My mom dudes done pull up to the crib. Niggas instantly start running. Me, I'm still mad. I'm like, I ain't, nigga, I start sprinting. Nigga, we can running down the street and shit, fam. We running down the street, fam. Right? Mind you, mom dudes them in the car next to me. My mom dudes and my auntie, right? Pushing it, right? So I'm sprinting behind them. My mom dudes yelling out the window. She's like, yo, stop, this, that. I ain't hearing that. Nigga pushing it. Them niggas running, bro. I'm talking about, I'm running after them. I don't care, fam, right? My mom dudes them pull in front of me. That's the only time, that's the only way I would have stopped. They pulled in front of me. And I just stopped type shit, right? But when I say kicks and stuff, I tried to kick the nigga, missed, hit the curb. My leg hit the curb. Ain't gonna lie. Like, I missed, it hit the curb. I ain't get hit or nothing, but hit the curb, fell. Ain't gonna lie. Feel this cap for real. I don't know what else to tell you. You know what I'm saying? Ain't win every fight I got in though. I wouldn't say that. Cause like when I was in, I remember this one time in middle school, right? We in the hood at this time. Well, the trenches at this time. Let's say that. Cause you know how you in the hood when niggas outside, even dark, kids are outside. We outside doing shit, just doing random shit in the neighborhood. But boom. It was just, we used to always go outside. It was a field outside the crib, and we used to play football, right? So, there's one time I think this white jet we used to play. This nigga tall as shit. Mind you, I think this nigga was in high school or some shit like that, right? Yo, I think this nigga got mad or some shit. This nigga picked my ass up. Fam. But the niggas I was with, cause me, I'm a jit. I don't like, nigga, I'm hurt. Bro, my homeboys or whatever, the niggas that I was cool with at the time, they chase this nigga down, they beat this nigga ass type shit, right? Chase this nigga to the crib. I'm just like, damn. I'm like, ain't even realized that it wasn't a fight though. But it was like, you know what I'm saying? As a jit, getting slammed, I'm like, I don't really feel that shit. But it's like, you know what I'm saying? Anyways, don't throw kicks. Unless you're a professional. Or unless you train that shit like hella, like an anime character. Anyway. Alright, so they both tired. I think it's the third round type shit. I think this is this is for the 1K. Because it's 30 minutes in this bed and I'm 21 minutes in. I think it's the last fight. Oh, he tired. I don't know why he put that goofy ass do-rag back on, twin. I ain't gonna lie. That shit's gonna slip back off. Nigga, I'ma throw bullets. Fam, I was a kid at the time. And still, who finna lose a fight and be like, huh? I mean, everybody in this generation. But me, I'm not that type of nigga. I'd rather get up and start fighting you again. To be real. Like, if I lose, I'm just gonna keep fighting you till I win. Come on.
30 seconds.
That boy tired, fam. That boy. He tired, fam. He can't do nothing. Them boys, damn. Come here, get up off him. Come on. Yo, once you see a nigga flinch before, and you just threw it, and you ain't even like, you know when you feint the shit and a nigga, Yo, that give a nigga so much confidence. Niggas don't know that. Flinching give a nigga so much confidence, fam. That was a tie. That was a tie. What's good, y'all? What's good, twin? What's good, Benet? What's going on? Who's leaking though? That does not matter. Am I tripping?
Come on, you got 3 people here cheering for it. How the fuck is that gonna be? Making it all these friends over there.
Honestly, bro, he hitting.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
One of the middles is right there, and he's still tapping back. So it's like a draw to me. I can't say who won because both started banging at the end and brought it back even. You feel me?
Yeah, he did though.
Bro, you gotta stay, bro. When you didn't throw that punch, you should have threw that motherfucker.
But he do this and then he don't do it, bro. If you did that, you would have probably knocked fam down. Like you hesitated, no hesitation, fam. That nigga ain't gonna hesitate when he see an opening on you. Hold on, okay, bro. Okay, we see your ass, twin. We see your ass, twin. Wait a minute, yo. Look at this shit, twin. This the nigga I'm rooting for right here. This nigga, he him. I ain't gonna lie. Look. You could tell this nigga tired right here. Watch this. Look, watch. He finna get him. Him. Come on, now. Look, he still, bro. They outside the ring. Fam. Look. I don't know why he put that shit back on, twin. Oh yeah, that's an Aaron right now. That's an Aaron that passed. You know what I'm saying, fam? He did that boy dirty. Oh my gosh. Oh, they starting again. They starting again? He said he boom rushed him. I ain't gonna lie, he did. I took a break today from work. Yeah, you told me you was yesterday. You asked me what you should do today. And I said just relax. Oh, no, you telling King. My fault. Hold on. Yo, come on. Oh, he clinched? His. Hold on, wait a minute. His. Oh, nah, he trying is he talking shit? He was talking shit.
Hold on, everybody. We got another legend in the building. You know what I'm saying? We got my big bro, CML Lavish D. You know what I'm saying? One of the hottest rappers in California in a real way. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to ask Bradesky too. Bro, how do you feel about the squabble you just witnessed? What do you think? Which one of these gentlemen would you give a squabble to?
Man, shit, they were both doing their thing.
In a real way, they was both.
He had more power punches.
Yeah.
He had more power punches. He had more combos. You know what I'm saying? They was neck and neck though, for real.
In a real way, man.
He for sure landed more. For sure.
For sure.
He landed more for sure. That's what I'm saying, man. He had that boy. Hell no.
Give it to Bo.
Y'all don't get that man his K, fam?
We're gonna give it to Bo. But hey, just on some.
Unless y'all finna split it 500. And I know y'all wanna do that shit, fam. They might have to run that shit again. Yeah, I'ma stay in the law for real, for sure.
I'm gonna give you some paper out of my own money, bro. On my money. You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna give you some paper out of my own money.
It was too close to dictate. I'm gonna give you $200, bro.
This nigga said $200, bro. That's real. That's love right there.
You mad you almost lost to a nigga that weighs 60 pounds?
It don't matter. It don't matter, bro. It don't matter. He's still fighting. He's still fighting.
There's no way. Bro, these niggas are talking so much shit, and they the ones who quit. I can't stand that shit.
Fighting, bro. Don't be no poor sport, bro.
He took his gloves off. I got tired. I got tired.
Don't be no poor sport.
The game, the shit just
For real,
started.
bro. Don't be no poor sport. He's still fighting.
Through it. He's fighting through being tired. Man, get that man his money, twin. Get that man his money, twin. The ash lip ass nigga, fam. He ain't even, bro. He got his shit folded quick. He got one body punch and he was over with.
You quit. He's still fighting.
Exactly.
This nigga bucks.
Almost lost to a nigga 60 pounds less than you, fam. You quit though. You quit.
You watching, nigga. You were watching.
You watching.
Come on, twin, now chill out.
In a real way? In a real way, they faded. In a real way. Wait.
You gotta resort to getting a hammer on the face.
He's
He's a bitch, nigga.
a bitch, nigga. In a real way.
About $1,000, but they done fucked it up. You know what I'm saying?
Fucked up they been.
So shit, hey, man, you just got a free event, nigga. What you mean? Free event. Then we gonna give him 500, man. You know what I'm saying? In a real way. Hey, bro, I know you just came home, moving forward in life. You know what I'm saying? Don't be a statistic to recidivism. You know what that is? You feel me? Going back to the plan, being a repeat offender, bro. Get involved in these trades. You know what I'm saying? Stay in the gym. Stay away from the sucker shit, bro. You know, in a real way.
All right, so boom, look, niggas start tripping, and you know what we had to do? I gave 3 people. I gave one person 500. I gave another person 500, and I gave another person 400. I gave him 200. Aaron the plumber. Give him another 200. You know what I'm saying? So we get into the final round. Somebody wanted to ask
Here's Derek Dale. How are you? What's up, Derek?
I had to answer his question. I said,
Nigga talking shit from the sidelines. Exactly. Exactly. This my point, fam. And then niggas get mad when another nigga win. You lost. Actually, you could have still been in. You the one who took yourself out. Niggas thought you was just tired, like you was on your knees and shit, like you was just breathing. Niggas started taking off his gloves. He ain't let nobody know. And he went down on one knee. The nigga on the sidelines was like, one of the niggas, I think his homeboy or some shit. He was like, bro, the ref on some pussy shit, some shit like that. Like he started talking shit about the ref. Aaron the plumber. You know he wasn't going for that shit. Actually, I'm finna show y'all this shit, fam. Cause this nigga, he ripped his whole t-shirt for that shit. That shit was funny as hell. This nigga Aaron took off his whole t-shirt. He said, he opened that bitch up like Superman, gang. Hold up. Look at this shit. This is the same nigga. Look. This nigga right here. This nigga. Look. Bro, like, this nigga about to quit. What this nigga doing? You know what I'm saying? Look at this. I got tired. Look. Listen to him. Look. Mind you, he didn't even have to count. All the other ones he counted. He didn't have to count this one. This one, yeah, I think it's the only one he didn't count. Look. Look, this nigga greedy as fuck. Look.
What you mean? No, you gotta get up, bro.
Look.
You gotta get up.
Look. Ref on some weak shit. You see what you look at Eric, look. Look, me and you can get it right now. Hey, look, straight like that. He said we could get it right now. Look, you see it? He had got a whole new shirt. I think he squabbled up, fam. I think they cut it out. I think they cut out the squabble, fam. I'm not gonna lie. I think they cut it, fam. I'm not gonna lie, twin. They had to cut it. Cause there's no way, fam. There's no way a nigga's trying to grab my glasses and slap me in the process. Especially not Aaron. Oh yeah, nah. Cause I ain't see that nigga the rest of the video either.
Bro, come on, gotta be confident, man. You can't say he's gonna lose.
This nigga said I'm finna lose. Mind you, this nigga said he was finna look. He said he was finna lose. He said he was finna lose himself. That's what he said, right? Aaron, like, you gotta say I'm finna bang this nigga. You can't be saying you finna lose. You gotta say I'm finna bang this nigga. $10 on that shirt. Fam, Aaron probably got so much paper right now. The way his name's circulating, he probably got so much paper he ain't even worry about that $10. Especially because he's an actual plumber too. A plumber and a content creator. Oh yeah. He getting paid too. In a real way.
Y'all ready? Y'all touch gloves. I'm gonna take yourself at all times.
This nigga Durag came off like 2-3 times in this fight though. Anyways. I low-key last to get knocked out. Hold on. Aaron the plumber inspired me to be more violent. They said this nigga Aaron look like a turtle. That's so green. A ninja turtle? Shit. I mean, I could see it with the teeth, but that's about it. The teeth and that shit. He got their teeth. Yo. This movie's so hard, bro. This movie's so hard. This is gonna be so hard. Sinners. April 18th. I can't fucking wait, boy. I can't fucking wait, boy. I don't know if this nigga got fucking.
So for those,
Mind y'all, I didn't watch the third episode of the story we was watching last night. Y'all wanna watch that one? Cause I ain't gonna lie, I said I was gonna watch it off stream. I did not. I fell asleep after that. Like I was watching it and I fell asleep watching it. And I low-key don't know what happened, to be real. The last thing I remember from the the part was the female Blake. I think she became a leader. Yeah. And she basically, it was a whole game, like a sit game where she had to pick 3 people. So it was this couple. I think y'all really sorry, but I'm gonna go to bed in a minute. Ain't gonna lie. It's okay, fam. We're gonna be here tomorrow. But ain't gonna lie, I might be here early. I'm gonna be here early tomorrow, probably. Like, most likely, I'm gonna be here earlier. But ain't gonna lie. I don't blame you.
for you guys that are new or have never seen it yet.
Let's get this shit right here. Oh, round 1. Wait. Ain't come here first. Yeah, round 1. Let's go.
Fighting first, we got Jesus versus Max.
They said round 1. There, hold on.
For 1 minute and 30. So come on, whenever the fighters is ready.
1 minute 30.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah. Timer.
Hold on, why these niggas boxing on a tennis court? What if the nigga actually drop? What y'all gonna do?
Oh yeah, come on, man.
Oh my gosh. That nigga just threw the craziest haymaker just then. That nigga said, whoosh.
Oh yeah, come on, man.
He's a boxer. He's a boxer. He has the shoes. Good night, King. Good night, twin. Hell yeah. He's a boxer. He literally has the movement.
Watch yourself.
1 minute.
Hey, jab.
Oh my gosh. I just knew about this nigga's shoes and his footwork that he was a boxer for real. Hold on, I'm finna show y'all right now. You see this nigga right here? Automatic. Look at this nigga's shoes. I knew from there he was gonna win. Look at this. Look at this, bro. Look at this. Look at. You seen that sidestep, bro? Oh my god, bro. Look at the sidestep. Look at the sidestep this nigga do with the box. Look at the sidestep. Look. It's right here. Watch this. Look. Bruh. Look at this.
1 minute.
His. Look. Him. Look, he dropped. Look, dropped. He grits, fam. Them shoes look like they finna pop off. Fam. That's literally isn't the only 2 sports I know that has shoes like that is boxing and wrestling, fam. To be real.
Hands up. You okay? Where you at? Where? Okay. What do you think? Top 1. Okay.
You good?
You're not good, fam.
Yes or no? Yes or no?
You dropped and his arms went limp.
Come on.
Why y'all putting it, bro? Ain't gonna lie, I don't like how this going, fam. This is low-key not fair. Yeah, he got this nigga running around. Oh, shit, bro.
15 seconds.
I would have been stopped this fight, fam. I ain't gonna lie.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
He too comfortable. When a nigga's too comfortable in the ring, it's over with for you, bro. Nigga watching the most random shit, bro. I always do, fam. I find the most random shit entertaining as fuck, fam. I don't like niggas be watching the same shit every day. I can't do that, fam. I ain't gonna lie, I can't. Hold on. Olympic boxer faces aggressive VR opponent. See, this is why I can't. I low-key want to get I want to get a I want to get a VR so I can get a boxing game, twin. When I get a boxing game, I'm gonna be on that bitch 24/7, bro. Oh my gosh, bro. That and shooting games, I'm gonna work on the aim. Oh my gosh, bro. Hold on. Let me see something quick. In the real way. Hold on. Wait. Dougie. Yeah. Dougie. Cordo. Let me see. Oh, this is the stuff I want now. Part 3 right here.
Why settle for any? You wouldn't know what to do in this situation.
I'm gonna be right back. Oh shoot. Actually, since I'm gonna be down, I'm gonna be right back. I'm gonna get something to drink, okay? And it said it gets like good night. BK on that bullshit. It was not. I'm back, peoples.
The same way that I did, surrounded by strangers, trapped in some bizarre village in the woods, forced to pick sides and play a sick game.
Yeah, I watched all this.
Text clues. I could tell that the older woman was either his wife or his long-term partner.
This is the
and
part I was
younger
talking
woman
about.
was a suspected mistress, and the long-term partner clearly gave the man some type of ultimatum. But the man
Nigga
had to make a decision,
in all
she
caps is
freaked
crazy,
out and
fam.
stormed out. Instead of giving her a clear answer, he suggested that they could all be together. And with all of the crazy things going on, that might have been the wildest thing that I had heard here. Suggesting to your wife to add a third person into your partnership while trying to make it seem like you're making a strategic move. Pitching the idea to your wife that 3 of you would be stronger together. Like, yeah, right, dude. I know what you're up to. We all do. The weirdest part was that the younger one seemed to be into it, but the older one was devastated and stormed out of the tavern. And a couple minutes went by until that same horrible sound came ringing through our bodies right as we were finishing up.
That's the sound he's talking about is the bell for when somebody found a game, another game. Because in this place that they're trapped in, basically, if you ignore the games, something is bound to happen. So if you take that as a compliment, take what as a compliment? Anyway, but basically, if you ignore the game, something bad will happen. It's guaranteed. But if you play the games, you're safe. So they made votes and shit. You'll hear.
Our lunches. Someone found another game and the entire tavern cleared out in a couple of moments. And I don't know why I thought the games didn't happen that often. I thought we did one this week, so we had some time. I thought that there was no way that they could happen this frequently. But the realization that these games happen multiple times a week, and the week always ending with the main vote, made it make a lot more sense why everybody here is so stressed out. This place
I wouldn't be playing any game. In here, you would be dead. No bullshit.
But never let your guard down. It didn't matter. Every single day, something horrible could happen. And we had no choice but to follow everybody out of this tavern and go find the new game. And I felt my anxiety rising as we were closing in on where the group was congregating. Since the last game was specifically about us, it felt like this one could be too. And everything in me, selfishly, did not want to be a part of this game. I feel like since we were the victims of the last one, somebody else should step up and be the victims of this one. And it's crazy how quickly your mind starts making justifications for your own safety. Because when we were being told about how villagers acted around these games and around the votes, it seemed selfish and it honestly seemed crazy. But as we were walking up to this new game, I found myself feeling those feelings and feeling those sensations. I was convincing myself in my own mind that since I was the last one to do it, somebody else should have to do this one. I felt entitled to some level of immunity, even though I shouldn't have. And I started to understand these people a little bit better in that moment. And as the game started, I also started to understand something very simple.
The thing is, we don't know what the thing is, put this in perspective. You don't know what's killing these people. You don't see what kills these people. You just wake up the next morning and people are dead. Like bodies are everywhere. Like mutilated type shit. You won't think to play them games after seeing that shit. I'm telling you, you are, fam. And that's gonna make anybody do that. That's gonna make anybody like,
destroy trust and to
you know,
keep the chaos flowing. And just like last time, everybody was congregated around the game that presented itself. And we all had to wait for Dr. Doyle to show up. And when he did, the seas parted. He walked up, he started to read the sign, and he started to comprehend the rules. And then he gave his interpretation of the rules to the crowd. He very reluctantly announced to the group that we needed one leader. And he said it as if he knew who was going to volunteer and he knew who was going to win. And again, the first hand that shoots up in the crowd is Blake, with that horrible smile on her face. And again, the second hand that shoots up is Heidi, because Heidi knows that Blake has it out for her. And Dr. Doyle announces to the group that he was not going to volunteer to be the leader, But if he did, and somebody was planning on voting for him, please turn your vote to Heidi instead of him, because he was opting out of volunteering. It all was happening so quickly, and it seemed so routine to everybody that was here. Since the last one was focused on us and we didn't know what to expect.
You know what's crazy? They said how they get food in here, they write a shopping list, deadass, leave it somewhere, and then the pantry is full the next day. Like,
a fever dream, and we were
that
so
shit's
filled with
crazy,
shock and
man.
anxiety
I wish that was
we didn't
real. I
notice.
mean, it is real,
Life
but
is expensive. Tools don't
I just
have
wish
to be.
I had it. Well, no, I don't. No, I don't. I'll take it back. I don't wish I had it. I'll take it back.
Notice how comfortable everybody else was in these moments.
Because, you
There
know,
was a
be careful what you
clear
wish for.
routine here, and it
You might
didn't
wish
take
for
long
something, you
everybody
might
to
get it,
choose
but you
who
might
the
have
leader
other
was.
stuff
It was
with
an
it.
absolute blowout. Blake won.
Manifestation,
We
a real
couldn't
thing.
believe it, because we had only seen this horrible, devious side of Blake. Why are these people putting their trust into her? But again, they thought that putting their trust into Blake meant that they were safe as an individual. So after Blake was in charge, Dr. Doyle had to continue with the rest of the rules. But he had to go step by step. First, he instructed Blake to choose 3 people to participate. And then one of those 3 people were going to be the decision maker. And I was very surprised who she chose. She chose 3 people that voted for her to be the leader. And I didn't realize why she was doing that. I thought for sure she was going to choose Heidi or somebody that opposed her in the brass. But it all made sense when she announced the first name. The man that she chose was Nathan. And Heidi whispered to me that Nathan only voted for her to be the leader because he didn't want to be on the wrong side of the vote. He had already given her pushback that week, and he started to hear whispers that his name was being thrown around. And he apologized to her and then voted for her to be the leader of this game to gain her trust back. But apparently Blake is as petty as it gets, and she holds vendettas because Nathan was the name that came out of her mouth. And then she proceeded to choose 2 women who had also voted for her.
We're talking food, not snacks, not candy, not chips, not none of that. Food type shit, like veggies, meat, that type of shit, twin. Like something you'll go into the grocery store, you'll type shit.
One being a slightly older woman and one being a slightly younger one. And it also turned out that Nathan happened to be the man in the lovers' quarrel that we overheard at the tavern. Blake had chosen this love triangle to be the participants of the game. But the weird part was that Blake wasn't in the tavern when the altercation happened. So how would she know that this love triangle was going on? But it made me realize just
Like
how much
Wingstop?
power Blake had. Because
Hell
clearly
no.
people in this village were reporting back to her anything
You're gonna have to
they
make that
noticed.
yourself.
She clearly had spies everywhere, and she knew what was going on because she had the biggest smile on her face when she chose those 3, as if she knew all of the context. And once she had the 3 people chosen, Dr. Doyle let the entire group know the rest of the rules of the game. Nathan was going to have to choose to remove 1 tattoo from one of their bodies. And when I heard that part, it made me think maybe Blake didn't know about the love triangle part, and she only knew the rules that Dr. Doyle had whispered to her beforehand. Because like I said, all 3 of these people looked like biker people, and they were covered in traditional tattoos. All of them had the daggers, the hearts, the roses, the little sparrows with ribbons
I'm not
all over their
making it.
legs
They
and arms
giving
and
me my
neck.
damn
So I thought for a
Wingstop. That's
second,
crazy.
maybe she chose these 3 because they all
Alright,
had
good night,
very
Z.
visible tattoos. So
You know what I'm
maybe they were
saying?
just the
Appreciate you
most
for stopping by,
eligible for this
gang.
game. But the look on Blake's face told me otherwise. She looked like she was enjoying watching this man suffer. It looked like she enjoyed putting him in a situation where he had to choose which woman that he loved that he was going to carve into. He was handed a scalpel by Dr. Doyle and was told that he had 1 minute to choose, and then he would have to begin carving it out of the woman. And he got to choose whatever tattoo that he wanted to. And both of the women are frantically crying, begging for him to not choose them. And of course these 2 women are freaking out. They're facing mutilation without any anesthesia or painkillers. The tension
So,
was
you
building,
already
and the
said
women
good-
are panicking. And Nathan was crying about this.
Benet, twin, we gotta talk. Twin. It's just me and you, twin. It's just me and you. What's up with you and Z, fam? Like, oh, actually, no, never fucking mind.
Decision that he had come to. Dr.
I forgot you said you was 19.
To
I'm
make a
tripping.
decision, and he finally did. He pointed towards the mistress, the younger girl, and his long-term partner, the older woman, initially looked so relieved. Just because she was like, he loves me, he saved me, he doesn't want to carve into me. But she started to freak out again when he chose what tattoo he was going to remove from the younger woman. He chose a heart tattoo that was on her arm, and the heart had a ribbon going across it with the name David on it. And this horrible, cruel game broke out into a random, sporadic mutilation while he was justifying his decision-making on what tattoo he chose to remove. It's like this place was capitalizing on their drama to maximize the suffering that was happening. Emotional
He is young.
and physical.
That's why I said
The older
that.
woman was freaking out
I
because
remembered
she
your
chose to
age.
remove the
That's why I
tattoo
said never
that
mind.
represented an old relationship that this potential mistress was in. He was choosing to remove a tattoo off of her that had another man's name on it. And she had plenty of tattoos to choose from, but he chose that one. So the older woman took that as if he was being possessive over her. And she's yelling at him things like, I knew you hated to look at that tattoo because it's proof another man had her. Well, this younger girl is just screaming in agony as he's slicing into her and peeling this tattoo off of her as she's wide awake. And the older woman's screaming at him that he should have chose her and cut out the tattoo that she got for him. She had a very similar tattoo with a bird and a ribbon going across it with the name Nathan on the ribbon. But Nathan was justifying it, telling his long-term partner that he didn't want to hurt her. But this younger girl had told Nathan about how her ex-partner David had been abusive to her. So taking that tattoo off of her was doing her a favor without having to hurt his long-term partner. But as a spectator, I was honestly siding with the older woman. To me, it was pretty clear that he was being possessive over this younger woman, while he was still trying to keep his name tattooed on his long-term partner because he was still trying to swing this three-way relationship. And this entire crowd is standing there watching this love triangle scream at each other as he's slowly peeling off a medium-sized chunk of this poor girl's skin. And once he finally gets this last piece off, he walks it up to Dr. Doyle and hands it to him. This flappy piece of flesh. And they leave the scalpel and the piece of flesh on the table that was presented to us. And everybody starts to disperse.
I might not be talking in chat for a sec. I'm playing Black Ops right now. You playing Black Ops? Which one? Hold on. You play the game, twin? I did not know she played the game, twin. What the fuck?
If this was just an everyday thing, even though we just watched a live mutilation, it was like watching a live amateur surgery mixed with a soap opera. There was so much pain inside of that love triangle, physical and emotional. It made me nauseous, the entire scene in general, but everybody else seemed to be used to it. Even Heidi just turned around and started to walk away back towards the map room. And obviously we followed her because being with somebody that's that calm in that situation, it rubs off on you. And I'm trying to come up with what question I want to ask her about that bizarre experience. But Heidi says something that stops me from asking about it.
Fam,
She
what do you
said,
play on?
That's why I told
What
you
the
guys not
fuck?
to interact
That
with
sound
people.
like everything
It's best
I
to
got,
lay low
except for
because
2K.
The more
Fuck
people
2K.
you get involved with, the larger target you become. Trust me, I was just in a situation like that. Let's get back to the map room and study, because the real vote is tomorrow. And I
Actually,
promise you're going to
I could show you the games I the discs I have. The rest of my shit, since this shit went so digital, I got this
So once we were in
PS5
there and Heidi finally fell
type
asleep,
shit. I got an
Bobby and I
Xbox
got to
Series.
chat a little
But
bit. It was very brief.
I'm gonna tell y'all the discs. These not all the discs though.
And I
Like
replied truthfully.
my discs in my closet. I don't feel like going in there
I followed
though.
up by asking him
But
exactly what I was
Cyberpunk,
thinking. Do you actually think
obviously
there's a way out?
GTA.
And Bobby replied, I know there is.
Dark
We're gonna find
Souls.
it. I don't care how many times we have to go through that gap.
Old
I'm not
ass
dying here, and I'm not gonna
Street
end up
Fighter.
just waddling around this place trying to
Mortal
survive.
Kombat
I was
XL.
very happy
Don't
to know
mind
that he
this,
hadn't given up.
cause
I could feel the
my little
motivation
brother
coming through his
took
lungs,
this
and I
shit
had
off,
the same
like-
fire in my chest. I was not ready to give up. I wanted to find an exit, no matter how
This Call
long
of
it
Duty.
took. I
Call of
was
Duty
not going to
Advanced
surrender
Warfare.
to the idea
I
that
think,
this
yeah.
place was my forever.
The
And
Witcher,
we dozed
ain't
off
gonna
that
lie,
night with
I
a
never
little bit
started
of
this, but I
optimism
might
that we
start
gave
this
to
soon.
each
I
other.
don't know.
And we woke
And
up the
then
next
the
day
Division
on our first
type
voting
shit,
day.
right? I got some Lego games. I got some more Call of Duty games. Mortal Kombat. Wait, I have horror games
And it
too.
was
Yeah,
more bizarre
me.
than Heidi could
I
have
fuck
ever
with horror
explained to us.
games,
It's
but
like
I ain't
this
gonna lie. When I go for horror games, if it's not like its original game, it's gonna be on a Roblox. It's gonna be on Roblox. But I used to play before they had took that shit off. Like they shut down all the servers. Friday the 13th was so hard, bruh. That shit was so gas, bruh. But I had that old ass horror game. Emily wants to play too. That shit's so gas, but that shit's scary as fuck if you have headphones on. Like when you wear headphones and shit. So not even wear headphones, bruh. If you play that shit at all, bro, that shit's like you gotta, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna lock in my squad waiting for me. I bet. Hold on, be right back. See ya. Win, lose, or draw by Pokemon, gotta catch them all. By Pokemon, gotta catch them all.
The entire place was in a manic frenzy. From the moment that we woke up, everybody was scrambling and talking to each other, whispering and making a case for themselves. People brought us breakfast and drinks and were asking us if we needed anything else from them, only to whisper in our ears at the end, "Who are you voting for?" There was no staying away from people this day. There was no minding your own business. The level of frantic energy around the area was unavoidable, and there was nothing you could do but fend off the village members that were trying to come up and talk to you. It was so oddly polite and so fake. Every single word that was coming out of their mouth had an ulterior motive, and everybody was just trying to get information about what way to vote.
Y'all want me a
Mancia. That was being on the right side of the vote, and nobody has any idea if their name is up in the air to be voted out, and they're trying to get any inkling that they might be the target so they can immediately point a finger in a different direction. There were clear leaders and clear decision makers around the village, and it seemed as if people were flocking to Blake, flocking to Dr. Doyle, and also, interestingly, flocking to Heidi, Bobby, and I. And I think it was because we were probably with Heidi, or it might have been because we made it back through the gap, and we had sacrificed our firearms to save people's lives. Maybe that gave us some level of respect and authority here, or at least a perceived authority. Because we personally felt absolutely lost. We would turn to Heidi and Dr. Doyle for anything. But maybe we were mistaking a perceived authority for the village members just not having any idea which way our votes were going. They had no gauge on who we were or who we were loyal to. But there was no telling what was sincere and what was manipulative. It felt as if everybody drank 3 espressos
What's going on?
and just couldn't keep their mouths shut. And Heidi told us to simply reply one line to everybody that she used all day. I'm voting with the brass, which basically meant I'm voting with the majority, but I'm not the person making the decision on who the person is going to be. Answering their question like that forced them to go speak to Dr. Doyle or one of the other core brass members to get more information. It also allowed us to not have to say a name, because if we said the name that we were supposed to be voting for, it meant that we were personally targeting somebody, and they could go report back to somebody else and use that as leverage against us, therefore putting a target on our backs. If you tell some
Who, bruh? Bro, come on, you can't even do that, bro. Who, bro? You gotta tell me now, fam. You gotta tell me now, fam. Like, you gotta tell me, bro. Like,
somebody,
come
you're
on.
just voting with the group.
No
You're telling that
names?
person, I'm just like you. I'm just doing what I'm told. No hard feelings to anybody.
For real,
I'm
dog.
not the decision maker. And the vote was going to start in about 30 minutes.
How you gonna
and
tell me
everybody
something like that and then don't
started
tell me who it
congregating in the
is,
middle of the
fam?
village. We hadn't spent
It's not like
so
I'm
much
gonna say
time
something,
walking
like,
around the common area of the
ain't got nothing to
village
do with
near the
me,
bleachers
but
and the podium. The only
I did
time
not
that we were
know
really
that.
hanging
It's
out
only
over
because
there
I
was when we
didn't.
were in a very serious altercation and we weren't really taking in our surroundings. So
I
we're
have
just
a feeling I
lollygagging
know who
around
you're
the
talking
general
about.
area when I noticed
Just from
something
that.
I hadn't seen before. And initially, I thought it was
Just from
another
that, I think I know who
weird
you're
game
talking
that
about.
popped up, and I was about to hear a bell
That's
go off. But
hold
when I
on.
pointed
If
at
I'm
it
right, that's
to get
crazy.
Heidi's attention, she kind of rolled her
Who
eyes
king?
to make it seem like that thing is not a big deal. It was like a big cylinder lock puzzle, and it was held up by 4 legs, like it was a small table. At the
DeAndre
top
King,
of it,
fam.
there were revolving numbers. It was like a large combination lock that had a handle sticking out on one side, and the handle looked like it was the handle to like a knife
Him
or a
for
sword
real?
or some type of paddle of
I'm
some sort.
telling you,
So I walked up to
bruh.
this
King
thing
be
fast, like
saucing,
gesturing
fam.
towards it, and
That's
Heidi
my
was
little
just rolling her
disciple,
eyes
fam. That's
about
my
it.
little
And she just
protege,
goes,
fam.
don't worry about that thing. It's always
No,
here.
my little
We don't
protege,
think that there's any
fam.
punishment for ignoring
You're not the only one. He just like that. Fam, he had females in here fighting over him before, and he didn't claim none of them. He was just like, damn, like, just chilling. Like, what's going on?
it.
That nigga 15, though. That nigga 15.
Been here
That nigga got a deep-ass voice, though, for a 15-year-old.
for longer than everybody here. It's been here the whole time. And
I
I
was still a
immediately
squeaker when I was
responded,
15.
do you think
That's
there's
crazy.
a reward for solving it? And Heidi, in a very lackluster tone,
Age
says,
gap is
maybe,
wild.
but it's
Yeah.
a 12-number combination.
It's
And I
4
immediately
years,
clap
twin.
back at her. Well, what if I already know 3 of them? Now we only need 9 numbers. And Heidi and Bobby's
But
eyes shoot open wide because they
You
could
didn't
tell
know.
that I'm being dead serious.
So-
I know 3 of these numbers because I saw them on the bottom of the stepladder while we were in the gap. And I'll never forget those numbers. 383. And I know for sure that they correlate with this combination lock because this lock's combination is broken up into sections of 3 numbers. So I follow up by telling them, while I was holding onto that ladder over the river, I saw that 383 was carved into one of the steps of the ladder. And Bobby immediately says, I saw 513 on the bottom of the cup. And Heidi and I both swing our heads towards Bobby and he repeats himself. Guys, 513 was on the bottom of the cup while we were collecting ink out there. And Heidi mumbles under her breath, 201. So Bobby and I both whip our heads towards Heidi and demand for her to speak up. She enunciates a little bit louder this time. I saw a tattoo on the forearm of one of those things that were whispering to us. She had a tattoo on the front of her forearm that said 201. And all of us are staring at each other. What?
He said my eyes would have been canceled if I said something. Hey, you didn't know though, so twin, for real, don't tell anyone. It's so crazy. I had the same feelings for someone else too. He was also in the chat today. Young as fuck though. Z. Damn, twin. And damn. Damn. I'm hey, yeah. Damn. My little proteges, fam. They got that wrist for real.
That all of us
Like
had
me, fam. Like they
major
master.
pieces
Like
of
they
information that
like they
none of us
sensei.
thought were significant until this moment. So
Them
we
boys
hustle
like
over to the
the team.
combination puzzle,
They like the
and Heidi
Ninja
starts
Turtles.
punching in those numbers,
And
she puts them in the
what's his
order in which we
name?
found them.
What's his
513
name,
from the
bruh?
cup, then 3.
What's his name, bruh? What's his name, bruh? What is it? What was the rat's name, bruh? It was the rat. What the fuck was his name, bruh? Hey Siri. What was the sensei from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles name? Master Splinter. I was about to say like Master. I don't even know, fam.
From the ladder, then 201 from the darkness. We only needed 3 more numbers and we were going to be able to open this puzzle that had been here longer than anybody else here. This could be our first major step to getting out of this place. And we're absolutely...
Wait a minute, because I was talking through that.
Tattoo on the forearm of one of those things that were whispering to us. She had a tattoo on the front of her forearm that said 201. And all of us are staring at each other wide-eyed, realizing that all of us had major pieces of information that none of us thought were significant until this moment. So we hustle over to the combination puzzle, and Heidi starts punching in those numbers, and she puts them in the order in which we found them. 513 from the cup, then 3 from the ladder, then 201 from the darkness. We only needed 3 more numbers and we were going to be able to open this puzzle that had been here longer than anybody else here. This could be our first major step.
Ain't even gonna
out of
ask,
this place.
to be real.
And
Ain't even gonna ask. That's none of my business,
our internal group, trying to not make a massive scene. Because the vote starts in like less than 20 minutes and there's a bunch of people around. And some people are looking at us, but they know that Bobby and I are new. And we probably don't know what this thing is. So they're not assuming that we're solving it. They probably are just assuming that we're learning about its existence and we're curious about it. And Dr. Doyle walks up after a few minutes because now the main vote is only a couple minutes away. And he walks up to us because he sees in our energy that something is going on. And that's exactly what he says to us. What's going on with you 3? And Heidi speaks up before Bobby and I even can. And she says, Doyle, we're 3 digits away from solving this thing. And Dr. Doyle's eyes get super wide and he gets closer to us so nobody else could hear him. And he says, follow me, but do it discreetly. Pretend I'm showing you 2 how voting goes. So as calmly as we possibly can, we walk over to the podium with Dr. Doyle. And he pulls out a stack of the parchment paper that everybody has to write a name onto. And he holds it up to us as if he's showing us the paper. But this is what he says. Guys, pretend you're looking at the paper, but look at the inside of the podium. Look at the small shelf under there. There's a carving on it. It's usually hidden under the parchment paper. Can anybody read it from here? And Bobby has the best angle and he whispers to all of us. It says, find his name, -511. I initially think that it's kind of weird that there's a message written in the podium. And the -511 indicates that this message was written by somebody named 511. And even though it's a little bit confusing, it doesn't change the fact that it's another 3-digit combo. So we discreetly walk back over to the combination puzzle and we throw 511 on the back end. We try to pull the handle that's sticking out of the combination puzzle, but it doesn't budge. And at this point, the vote is closing in on us and people are starting to congregate, so we can't really hide what we're doing. So we switch up the combination. We put 511 at the beginning and then all of the numbers in the same order behind it. And the entire village is circled around the area at this point, anticipating the vote that's about to happen. And Bobby grabs onto the handle once all of the numbers are in the new order. And like butter, this thing slides out, combination completed.
Part 4.
Literally every single person in the village saw him do it, and everybody has this amazed expression on their face. But that amazement on their faces was also slightly tainted with fear, because nobody knows what's going to come with this puzzle being solved. At this point, everybody has their vote in mind. They kind of know how the day is going to go. And even though it was horribly manic all day, people start to get a sense of security going into the vote because they think they know which way it's going. But now this happened, and they don't know what this action changes. So now there's fear boiling around the entire community. And none of us know if a bell is
like
gonna ring, or
girls
the
with
gap's gonna randomly
tattoos. I don't
open,
know about
or
other
if
niggas,
celebratory
but
fireworks are gonna
hey,
go off. We don't know if an
you add
exit
it
is
up.
gonna open. We have no idea how finishing this puzzle
To
is
most
going
niggas,
to affect things. The only thing that was
probably
clear was
not.
that there was a
I
message
don't know,
on the panel that
fam.
Bobby
Like
was
how it
hoping.
is now, like it's rare to see a female with tattoos. But in my opinion, they just can't look stupid, fam. Like if they hard, oh, get tattoos. What the fuck? But if you just putting random shit on your body, you might as well just. What the fuck? What is you doing, fam? You know what I'm saying? But if they got meanings and shit behind them, then yeah, hell yeah. See, I low-key don't want to get my tattoo until I'm 18. When I turn 18, I low-key want a forearm tattoo, but it's gonna be my name and something, bro. I'm not gonna lie. Cause I low-key wanted 999 in Roman numbers right here. So like right here, have my name and shit. I don't know, fam. I don't know how I'm gonna do it. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Cause people be getting this shit off Pinterest. They'll just scroll, get that bit. Oh yeah, here. Bullshit, fam.
That we pulled out of this combination puzzle.
Like I want to physically draw my own like
it's
tattoo
written
type
in
shit.
But he doesn't even need to hand it over to Dr. Doyle to read it because it only had 3 words on it. Doyle was able to read it immediately while it was still in Bobby's hands, and he announced to the group what it said because it's not like he could hide it. Everybody witnessed us open it, so he has to share it with the group. And Dr. Doyle announces to the group what it says, but he doesn't seem excited about it. He goes, "Everybody, it says, go through hell." The entire crowd gasps, and I cringe at the thought that we could have went home. We could have gotten out of here, but we...
Yo, my fucking gosh. Yo. I don't know why I didn't think of that. I don't know why I didn't think that. The girl went to home. They went to the home gap. The dudes went to the village gap. And there was one they didn't go through. And it was home. Not home. It was hell. In the future, I'm planning on doing tattoos. For real? Might need a little might need a couple yats from you, twin. Might need to tap in, twin.
The wrong choice while we were in the gap. Everybody else seemed privy to the fact that there was an option to go through hell inside of the gap. And I'm assuming that Dr. Doyle told everybody about his experience. But Heidi, Bobby, and I were absolutely devastated because we chose the 2 wrong options while we were out there. We were lucky we were all out there at the same time though, because if it was only one of us, we probably would have only found 1 number combination. But because all 3 of us were out there, we were able to find 3/4 of the combination. So on the bright side, we would only have to go back through the gap 1 more time, and we would know which one to choose. We would know to go through hell the next time. The entire crowd is whispering and freaking out.
Could I schedule so yeah, maybe eventually I'll start doing tattoos. I don't mind to. For sure.
Voted today, now
I'm not talking about for free though. I'm talking about like, I'm gonna pay you to do this shit, fam.
Like, that specific must be tantalizing for somebody that wants to escape, that hasn't accepted the reality here, and they want to go home. Knowing that you actually have a chance to get out, if you get to the end, that changes things. So who knows if somebody's going to try to volunteer? Who knows if multiple people are going to try? So everybody's whispering and chatting, and Dr. Doyle makes it a point to get everybody to calm down. And he calls everybody over to congregate onto the bleachers to start this week's vote because we were running out of time. The voting process is pretty simple. Everybody goes up 1 by 1 and writes a name on a piece of parchment paper. And once everybody is voted, Dr. Doyle counts the votes and tells everybody who received the most. And once he reads the results of the vote, the gap opens and whoever was voted needs to go through the gap immediately. Everybody knew that the game plan was to vote out Nathan, and it didn't seem like anybody was volunteering even though they knew to go through hell. And I was assuming that everybody probably wanted a week to refresh themselves on what's probably behind this season's gap before they volunteered to risk it. But I knew that there was probably going to be volunteers the next week. I mean, there was a part of me that wanted to volunteer for next week. So everybody went up and voted, and Dr. Doyle counted the votes. And before he read out the results, he said one thing.
I know you won't
Everybody,
mind.
let's not have
That's
a
why I'm gonna
fiasco
pay.
like last week. Only one person is supposed to go
That's
through
exactly
the
what I'm
gap.
finna pay.
Our new friends here only went through with Heidi last week because they
Just
didn't know
from
what
just
they
from that,
stumbled
because
into.
no
matter
people,
the
not a lot of
results, we
people do
not
that
lose
for
more
real.
than one
Like,
person a week.
they'll be like,
If that
shit,
understood.
I'll give
Everybody
you a
nodded
tax
their
for
heads in
free,
agreement.
twin.
Then Dr. Doyle
Nobody say
looked
that
up from the
shit, bro.
parchment
That take a
paper
lot
at
of.
the group of villagers and announced
First of
who
all,
was
that take a
voted
lot of
out.
time.
And he looked right at me when he said it.
It's
The
time
majority of the
consuming.
votes went to Bobby. And
On
I
top
look
of
at
that,
Bobby and I see one of my
equipment.
closest friends living in absolute
I gotta
nightmare.
pay you back,
There was
twin.
no
That's just-
way that Dr. Doyle
I
just said
don't-
that.
you know what I'm
Everybody
saying?
told us that the plan
I
was
don't
for
like
Nathan
taking
to go
stuff for
through.
free,
And I
twin.
looked towards
Nigga,
Heidi
now
because
I'll make
she
it
was the one that
$1.
was telling us that the vote was
Bro.
Nathan. And even the
Alright.
whispers from the
$1,
people that we
bro.
knew were
I'm gonna
loyal
be
to
like, oh
Blake
yeah, I paid
were
$1
telling
for
us
this
that it was
tax,
going to be Nathan.
They're gonna be like,
And
where did
Dr.
you
Doyle
get
was
that
positive
from?
that it was going to be Nathan. So I turned towards Heidi, absolutely furious, because I feel like she lied.
Or do you want me
and
to tell
the
them?
first thing that she says was, I was on the wrong side of the vote too. I don't know what
Okay,
happened.
get
I
some
thought everybody
customers,
was
but I
on the
can't
same
say
page.
they was shit
And
for
I could
$1
feel all
though.
of
I'm
the
gonna be like,
eyeballs on us
shit, it
from
was
all
a
of the other
good
villagers, and they're looking
1500.
at our
I'm gonna
close
count
friend
my
group and
ass
the
off. It
astonishment
was a
on
good
our
little
faces.
1500.
I
This shit was
couldn't believe
very
what just
detailed,
happened. And
very,
then Blake broke
you
the
know what I'm
silence
saying?
by
Very,
saying, solve that
you know.
puzzle, Bobby.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Wait, what? Yo, this fucking
Going to be
story is
Nathan. And Dr. Doyle was positive that it was going to be Nathan. So I turned toward...
Whoa, 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 whoa.
And announced who was voted out. And he looked right at me when he said it. The majority of the votes went to Bobby. And I look at Bobby and I see one of my closest friends living in absolute nightmare. There was no way that Dr. Doyle just said that. Everybody told us that the plan was for Nathan to go through. And I looked towards Heidi because she was the one that was telling us that the vote was Nathan. And even the whispers from the people that we knew were loyal to Blake were telling us that it was going to be Nathan. And Dr. Doyle was positive that it was going to be Nathan. So I turned towards Heidi, absolutely furious, because I feel like she lied to me. And the first thing that she says was, I was on the wrong side of the vote
I
too.
got you.
I don't know what happened. I thought everybody was on the same page. And I could feel all of the eyeballs on us from all of the other villagers. And they're looking at our core friend group and the astonishment on our faces. I couldn't believe what just happened. And then Blake broke the silence by saying, solve that puzzle, Bobby.
This bitch here, I would have slapped the fuck out of her. I'm sorry. I would have Chris Breezy her shit, fam. Part 5.
And then it hit me. Bobby was the one that pulled the handle out of the combination lock.
They were scared. They want him to go test it out because they did the same thing for Dr. Doyle. They want to see if it's true. These people here,
So they thought that he solved it. And nobody was whispering about volunteering. Nobody was considering the new information that was presented to us. They were whispering about the fact that Bobby was a target now, simply because he solved a puzzle that nobody else could, which made him a power threat. And in the moments that was happening, the whispers must have made their way to Blake, and Blake changed the target of the day towards Bobby. She didn't like the fact that people were coming up to Bobby, Heidi, and I all day and treating us like we were a power trio. And she used this opportunity of Bobby solving this puzzle, or seemingly solving this puzzle, to get everybody to vote for him to break up our trio. I don't know what to say to Bobby at that moment other than I'll come with you. But Dr.
Exactly. Oh my god. This nigga's just like me, bro. This nigga's just like me, bro. I would have went. I don't give a fuck, bro. My homeboy ain't finna go in there dying, bro. If we die together, fam. We came here together. We're gonna die together, fam.
Or seemingly solving this puzzle.
We're gonna get through this together. I'm not finna die, but we're gonna get through this together.
I don't know what
but
to
if we
say
die,
about
we
you
die
at that
together.
moment other than
You know
I'll
what I'm
come
saying?
with you. But Dr. Doyle responded to me in front of everybody. No, you won't, Doug. We can't risk that again. He made it through once. He can make it through again. And maybe this time he could actually make it home. My initial thought is I am not listening to him. I don't care. I'm going to go with Bobby. He's the only person here I actually like. But then I realized that
you actually know and trust.
Voluntarily given up our firearms. And Dr. Doyle and the other men of the village were not scared of us anymore. There was much more of them than there were of us. And the men that were loyal to Dr. Doyle made it very clear that they were not going to let us go in together. I could see how scared Bobby was, but he tried to make me feel better about the situation. He said, don't worry. I can make it back. I did it once, I can do it again. And now I shouted back towards him because they had dragged him all the way over to the gap and they were separating us. And he was about to be shoved through moments after they announced his name. We didn't even have a chance to have a conversation. The only thing I got to say to him was, if you can get out, do it. I'll be fine. And just like that, Bobby is through the gap and he's gone. And everybody starts to disperse as if nothing happened. This is just every day. But my life is spiraling. Everything is falling apart around me. It's loosening at the seams, and I have no idea what to do other than mourn my friend, who's now put into a life and death situation without me. I look at Heidi and I basically bark at her. We need to do something. So I take off running back towards the map room to find any bits of information that I can. So many things are running through my head at that moment. Maybe there's a way to open the gap.
This shit just pissed me off, bro. Bro, this shit just pissed me off, bro. 2 people is better than 1. Why is you talking about if he made it through once, he can make it back again? He made it because it was 3 fucking people. One that knew half this, bro. One that knew exactly what was going on. And it's a different season fucking gap. So what the fuck is this nigga talking?
Follow after.
Ain't gonna
There
lie.
has to be.
This changed my whole shit about it. If I was him, I'm not giving up my stick. I would have shot 2 people just right there. Facts.
Some way that
I don't
we can
care.
help him.
I don't
So
care.
I
Nah,
rush into
you
the
ain't getting my
bathroom and I
gun
start
out. Cause these
rummaging
niggas act like they
I'm not
they
in my
slick,
right mind, and I
fam.
have no idea how to control my
That shit
emotions at
grits,
this point.
bro. I
And
would've
can
shot
feel
that bitch
myself
Blake, and I would've
slipping
shot the
into
half dead
internal
nigga.
torment that everybody else here is suffering from. It's only been a week, and I can feel that this place is breaking me, and I know that I need to get out before it fully breaks me. Because only 2 more weeks from now, Heidi and Dr. Doyle could be voted out too, and I'm here alone. To be tortured and tormented and bullied and pushed around by Blake and her minions. It was do or die, and I needed to find answers immediately. And I wasn't going to let Heidi or Dr. Doyle attempt to calm me down. It was now or never. Heidi rushes into the map room after me, and I'm expecting her to attempt to console me. I was expecting a pep talk to look at the situation more logically, and I'm ready to bark at her again to tell her if she's not trying to help get away from me. But when I look at her, I see the same fear in her eyes that I feel in my chest, and she says, "We're next if we don't do something." There has to be something else to that puzzle combination. I didn't even think about the puzzle combination or the possibility of going deeper into it. All I thought was, there's probably something in one of these journal entries that might give me a lead. But Heidi was right. We had something that nobody else had figured out up until this point. And the reason she hadn't been in the map room with me immediately, the reason she came in a couple moments later, is because she went and grabbed a piece of parchment paper to write down the code. And she was holding up that code in front of me. And under the code, she had the quote that was carved into the podium under the last 3 digits. And in quotations it said, "Find his name." And Heidi goes, "I have an idea, give me a second." And I see her counting on her fingers as she's reciting the alphabet under her breath. And she goes through the whole code, which is 511, 513, 3.
511, 53, 5. Wait. 511, 513, 383, 201, 511, 513, 383, 201. So it could be, oh, okay.
83201. She's writing corresponding letters to the numbers, and she says 511 is either EK or EAA. 513 is either EM or EAC, but 383 is CHC, and 201 is TA. So let's work through 2 options. EAA and EAC, CHCTA, and EKEM, CHCTA. Then she asked me, "Do you see any words in these letters?" The only 2 words I was able to make out in the first collection of letters was cachet and teach. And they didn't seem very important or relevant to our situation. But when I looked at the combination of the second letters, a phrase jumped off the page to me. And I basically yelled in Heidi's face, "Checkmate." And when I yelled checkmate, her eyes...
There's no, oh, in the first one. Checkmate.
Why?
Yo.
And she yelled back, "Roman." And I said, "What about Roman?" And she said, "The only thing that Roman does outside of talking to himself and yelling is play himself in chess. It must have something to do with him. We have to follow him. We have to find him, and we can't let him know that we're following him. It must have something to do with him." And I know that this entire thing that I'm explaining to you is such a stretch. And Heidi and I are jumping to crazy conclusions.
My fault. Show me an example of what you will say if someone asks where you got the tap. Hold on, Oh shit! You know how that shit be, fam. This shit like I don't even know for real. Like, I got this shit. You know what I'm saying? My twin, but they had did this shit for me real shit. She had did it for low for me on some real shit. They bit tough. They bit tough, twin. I fuck with it. Ain't gonna lie. But if you need it, you really need to tap in, or you getting Swiss cheese, or it's Bond. Type shit. All right. He said, bro, again with Bobby. Fam, they threw this nigga through the gap, but that pissed me off. I won again with the squad on my. Okay. I see you. I see
Any
you.
lead that we possibly can. But that's where we were at. We had no other options. We had to passionately chase anything that even had the slightest hint of possibly getting us out of here. The amount of adrenaline that was running through my body made it feel like I was on the strongest Adderall known to man. I felt like
Strongest
nothing could get in
Adderall
my
is
way
crazy.
from tracking down Roman and stalking him and finding out every piece of information that he knew. I didn't care if Blake started talking to us again. I didn't care if Dr. Doyle wanted to have a meeting in the tavern. I didn't care if the gap opened and a monster ran through it. My sole focus was to stalk Roman. And all of this is based on the fact that we did a word jumble that said checkmate. But you can't pretend like you wouldn't do the exact same thing in that situation. It's all we had. It was the only lead we had, and it was my only hope in getting out of this place. It was also the only thing that could keep my mind off of thinking about what Bobby was going through in that exact moment. One of my best friends is out there fighting for his life, and I can't help him. I had to think about anything else, and the only thing that I could get myself to focus on was our current mission. The reality was that I was breaking inside, and I was heartbroken that my friend was out there fighting for his life by himself, and I was blinding myself with a not-so-hot lead. But anyway, it only took us about 10 minutes to track down Roman. He isn't a hard guy to find. He's always shouting, and this place isn't very big. He was doing his regular routine. He was wandering the outskirts of the forest and then eventually wandered into town. He would wander into the tavern, grab scraps of food to feed himself, then go to a small table outside of one of the cabins and play himself in chess. Heidi and I were stalking him like we were mountain lions on the outskirts of a residential neighborhood that got a scent of a dachshund alone in a backyard by itself. We were locked in on this man's every move. I was looking at him like he held the keys to the universe, and we watched him for 2 hours, moving a chess piece, standing up, switching seats, moving a chess piece, talking to himself, switching seats, playing chess against himself. One eye looking down at the chessboard, the other eye floating around, taking in the surroundings. Since the vote had just happened, everybody had a week of safety, so everybody's guard was down and nobody was filled with anxiety. They were doing their regular chores, wandering around the village. It was rather lively around, and everybody was acting much more normal than they were acting before. And obviously, everybody's completely ignoring Roman as they always do. But he saw us. He saw us watching him. Somehow he was able to decipher that we kept peeking at him. So I take another quick look at him, and his head is facing our direction. Neither of his eyes were facing us, but his nose was pointed towards us. It was like looking at a chameleon in the face. You couldn't tell if it was looking at you or it was looking at his right and left. So we looked away for a moment, then we peeked back at him.
Now she switched
He's still
cheeks.
looking at
Yeah.
us. He knew that we were
Well,
giving him
like,
attention.
they
He knew
don't
that we were
come get
watching
you
him,
tattooed,
but he
they
didn't
can
sprint
drag.
at us.
Facts.
And he didn't start yelling.
Facts.
All he did
They
was
gonna get
gently
dragged to you
move
to
his
get dragged
chess pieces
again.
off the
Facts.
board and fold the chessboard in half. It wasn't one of those fancy boards that's all one piece. It was one of those cheap boards that you could fold in half to store it easier. And from the corner of our eyes, we could see that he's writing a message at the bottom of this chessboard. It only took him a couple seconds, and then he put the chessboard back down to flat and put the pieces back on top of it. He immediately left the small table, left his chess game behind, and went into the tavern. We knew at that moment that Roman left a note for us. He knew that we were following him. He knew that we wanted to communicate with him, and instead of risking our safety by running at us and shouting and having a verbal interaction, he wrote a note for us. It might have still been breaking the rules because we were technically communicating with him, but it was worth the risk at that time. We only waited about 20 seconds before nonchalantly walking over to the chessboard and folding it up to reveal the message. And we were reminded of a very cruel reality of the situation. Roman only spoke Russian, and this message was in Russian. We had no choice but to take this message to Dr. Doyle and get him to translate it. His entire life was committed to studying language. Even if he didn't speak Russian fluently, maybe he would be able to get an idea of what it says based on context clues. I don't know that much about language, but I can only assume that if you know a ton of languages, you might be able to piece together a sentence based on some keywords that you know from correlating languages. I don't think that's too much of a stretch of an imagination. So we do our best to slide the chess pieces to the side and conceal this board under my shirt. And we start searching for Dr. Doyle, and we find him in one of the cabins having a small meeting with a couple members of the brass. We didn't want him to translate this message in front of everybody, so we asked him to come with us to the map room because we had something very important to talk to him about. Everybody knew that I had just lost my best friend to the Gap, so nobody was suspicious that I wanted to talk to Dr. Doyle privately. I had a lot going on. They knew that I was probably going through it, so we were able to isolate Dr. Doyle and get him back to the map room, where we were then able to ask him about this message. I didn't know how I was going to explain where it came from. I didn't really care, but Heidi took the lead. All she said was, "I think we're onto something. Do you know what this says?" And I handed the chessboard from under my shirt, and she opened it up for Dr. Doyle for him to read the message. He squinted his eyes for a second, and he mumbled to himself, "Is that Russian?" And Heidi covered our tracks in that moment by saying, "We saw Roman write it, and we wanted to know what it said because we think he knows something." And I could tell that Dr. Doyle did not like the idea that this was a message from Roman. And he immediately said, "Roman writes a lot of things, guys. He also says a lot of things out loud. Most of those things don't make sense." And Heidi shakes the chessboard that's right in front of Dr. Doyle and says, "Does what he wrote here make sense?" And Dr. Doyle nods his head, but then says, "Yeah, but I don't know what it means." I wasn't able to hold my frustration in anymore. And at that moment, I could kind of see why everybody was getting so frustrated with him. Because he would just walk up and read messages that were left all over this place and not say it out loud right away. So I just blurted out, "Maybe just say it. Maybe just say what it says. Can you tell me what it says? You want to say it?" Clearly, Dr. Doyle had no idea the type of pressure that I felt on top of me. He had no idea just how upset I was with the vote earlier. And he had no idea how short of a fuse that I was on. I think that he felt like he built a level of rapport with me and built a level of respect that it would carry over into any conversation.
We ain't start
He
earlier.
had no idea what I was willing to do in this moment. He had no idea how desperate I felt, and he clearly had no idea how dangerous a desperate person could be. There are bad people in this world. There are evil people in this world. There's very greedy people in this world. There's people that lack empathy. There's people that lack sympathy. There's psychopaths. There's sociopaths. But I firmly believe that there is nobody more dangerous than a desperate man, because a desperate man doesn't have a choice. At least he feels like he has no option.
Doesn't have a
So whatever opportunity is right in front of him for him to get ahead, he will do anything in his power to get out of his desperate situation. Dr. Doyle was clearly very used to gatekeeping his knowledge of language, so nobody figured out how to speak Gaelic. But there was no reason for him to not tell us exactly what this said immediately. It's in Russian, it doesn't matter. And he could tell that I was fuming, almost foaming at the mouth like a pit bull. So to avoid any further escalation of the situation, he said, "I know its name. It says I know its name." So I whip my head towards Heidi now that I know what the message says, and I say, "Roman is trying to tell us something. Remember what it said in the podium? It was carved in it. It said, 'Find its name.' And whatever that means, find his name, I know his name, Roman knows something. We have to talk to him." Now Dr. Doyle gets upset and he claps back at me like, "What do you mean? Roman's trying to tell us something? Have you guys been communicating with him?" I was not in the mood for a scolding, so I said, "Roman saw us watching him, so he left us this note. If that means we're communicating with him, then yeah, we are." And I was expecting him to continue to scold us or shame us for what we were doing. But it was like all of the compassion left his eyes and he said one line before leaving, "You might end up in pieces for that." Part of me couldn't tell if that was a threat or a warning, and I couldn't tell why the expression on his face changed, but something about it pissed me off. Something about the way he said it made me feel like he was leaving right away to go tattletale and tell everybody that we were communicating with Roman, and that we were liabilities no longer in the brass. But it didn't matter. I was willing to try anything at this point. I was going to turn over any stone that I could, and I was going to run through any wall that I had to, because nothing could be worse than being out there alone like Bobby is. And if I were to just sit here and wait for him to come back, I would be the worst friend in history. I had no idea what we were about to walk into. Part of me thought Dr. Doyle was going to call a village meeting and let everybody know that we were communicating with Roman, so nobody would start to talk to us, or they were going to try to band together to get us to stop communicating with Roman. So I start venting all of these thoughts to Heidi about my interpretation of what Dr. Doyle said to us and my assumptions of what he's probably going to do about it. And I'm pacing back and forth trying to think about our next move when she cut off my train of thought. She said, "I've seen that look on his face before. It wasn't the look of disapproval or anger. He's going to let us do whatever we want. But that was the look of him emotionally disconnecting from us. He's not going to try to stop us or put any energy towards us, but he's mentally preparing to wake up tomorrow to our bodies scattered all over this village in pieces. When you have to make all of the decisions that he has to make here, you have to become cold to people when you see them going off the deep end. He could tell that you're not going to listen to him, so he has to focus on the people who will. Don't be frustrated with him. He's not going to get in your way." My emotions were through the roof still, so I didn't care about his feelings about the situation. The only thing that I cared about was our next move. So I asked Heidi, "You think we should go talk to Roman right now?" And she was much less emotional than me in that moment. Her decision was far more logical. She said, "No, I don't think we should talk to him in front of everybody. But I do know where he sleeps. He has a little hut out in the forest. And maybe there's something in there that could get us closer to answers. And if we're going to talk to him, we should probably do it out there to keep everybody else safe." I was okay with that answer because the plan was still to talk to him eventually. So I was down to go snoop around his house. It felt like a step forward to me, and it was a logical, emotionalist step forward. To barge into the tavern and start barking questions at Roman in front of everybody was not the right move. Heidi was totally right here. But I wasn't trying to slow down our investigation. I was still off the Adderall. So I asked her right away, "Can you take me to his hut right now?" I keep saying it, but every second to me that I wasn't doing something was another second that I was betraying Bobby's friendship. I remember what it was like out there. Heidi and I were both out there with him.
How
Before
far
we
is
left the
it?
map room to go to Roman's hut, Heidi asked me to at least pretend to be calm. Everybody knows what happened. They could probably assume that I'm pretty upset, but the worst thing that could happen in this situation is for them to start snooping around our business and following us around. And that's what people do here if they see that something's up with you. Everybody's looking for a reason to backstab you and vote you out next. I felt like we were actually onto something here, so we should protect it. And I was very happy to know that Heidi also felt that we were potentially onto something. I wasn't sure at first if she was just being empathetic towards me because I had just lost my friend. She was genuinely excited about this information as well, and she was willing to talk to Roman under the right circumstances with me. So I try my best to put a calm expression on and walk out of the map room and into the village. And we slowly, nonchalantly walk into the forest. And once we were in the forest, we picked up the pace because there was nobody out there. I didn't have to put on a show for anybody. It only took us about 10 minutes to get deep into the forest away from everybody else. And eventually, Heidi pointed directly in front of us, and I was able to see a small structure built alongside the trunk of a tree. It was a little hut, clearly made of scrap wood, taken off the cabins in the village. It was only big enough for one man to crawl into and maybe sleep in the fetal position. There was nothing spacious about this abode. It was no bigger than a doghouse, but it was worth investigating, and I was willing to wait around for Roman to get here so we could talk to him. But I was not willing to respect his personal privacy. I didn't hesitate for a second. I crawled into his little hut and I started rummaging through his things. There was damn near nothing in there. A couple pieces of clothing, a blanket, a homemade pillow. I wasn't seeing anything remotely important until I looked up at one of the walls. There was barely any light in there, so I couldn't see what it said until I put my nose up to it. There was carvings all over the small walls of this hut, and it was the same word written over and over and over again. I didn't know what it said, but it was the same word. I crawled out and I asked Heidi to crawl in because I knew she had a writing utensil with her. I told her to grab a piece of parchment from in there and write the word that she sees on the wall. She came crawling back out of that hut and she held the parchment paper up to me. The spelling looked right. I checked one more time just to make sure, and it was correct. But we had no idea what it said. We didn't know what this word meant. And to be honest, we didn't even know how to pronounce it. We didn't bother waiting for Roman at the hut. We felt like we found what we were looking for, so we hustled back to the village. And once we entered the village, we pretended to be calm again. We started walking slower, but we were looking for Dr. Doyle. He wasn't in the cabins or in the map room, so he must have been in the tavern. So we walk in there. It's very busy in the tavern. But Dr. Doyle's in the same spot that he was the first day that we spoke to him. And we walked right up to him and we sat next to him like our conversation is still going, and he seemed like he was not happy with us and he wasn't excited to continue our conversation. And the first thing that he said when we sat down was a very dismissive, "I'm eating." I felt so close to answers. I didn't want to be disrespectful in that moment. Even though I wanted to slap him across the head, grab him by the hair, and press his nose into the note and demand that he reads this word to me. I took a different route. I said, one more word and I won't bother you for another week. I felt like it was a simple bargain, very straightforward, and I made it very clear all he had to do was translate this one word and he wouldn't have to worry about us anymore. And he could enjoy his meal and we would leave. I very discreetly got the piece of parchment from Heidi and I showed it to him very quickly before putting it away. And I even managed to say,
Bet. All right, Benet.
it's okay
Be
if you
safe,
don't know
shout.
it. I'll leave
Good
you
night.
alone either way. He glanced up at it and I could tell that he liked the idea of me not bothering him. And he was planning on telling me what it said and then completely ignoring my existence for a week. But when his eyes looked at the word, I could tell that he didn't like what it said. And he looked at Heidi and I with fire in his eyes and he said, "Where did you find that word?" And I said, "Brother, can you please stop gatekeeping words and I'll tell you everything you want to know? I would love it if you'd help us." And I think in that moment, he had a realization how irritating it is to withhold what a word means from somebody. And I hope he realized how often he does it to people. And I think since I was being so straightforward with him instead of being passive aggressive like the other villagers, he had a realization why half the village turned on him. And it was because of moments like this. To pressure him further into just telling me what it said, I said we found it carved into Roman's hut. He wrote it about 600 times, so it must be important. Please tell me what it means. And Dr. Doyle put down his eating utensils and turned towards us. And in a very serious tone, he said, "The way you pronounce that word is Fiachnan. It means the hunter who keeps." And when I heard him say Fiachnan, I knew it was sinister. I could just feel it. I had never heard a word before that made my breath become shorter and my body fill with tension. And I was waiting for a further explanation about what Dr. Doyle must know about this word, because he said it as if he heard it before. I'm staring in Dr. Doyle's eyes and I could see a million realizations happening behind them. I could tell he's connecting dots in his head, but he can't find the words to express himself. He manages to say, "Yeah, I've read about it. They say it's a solitary fae. They say it's the one that plays with its food." His sentence and his train of thought is cut off with the sound of rain hitting the roof of the tavern. It was as if it was perfectly timed. And I look around the tavern at all of the village members enjoying their meals, and all of the relief that they had from my friend being voted out that day was stripped away from them by the sound of rain. And I didn't know why. And I'm looking around confused as everybody else is staring at the ceiling in silence. And I look at Heidi, and she looks back towards me and she says 4 words. "It's never rained here."
Good night, stream.
So much information is running through my head, and I don't know
Love y'all.
if the